So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube? Dara here from Zephyr Games, bringing you Matt's Lunalight Orcust deck profile that you saw replays of the other day. Now, of course, this deck is possibly one of the most powerful decks in the format right now, and you can see he's got a couple of interesting choices, especially in his side deck as well. It uses and abuses the stun ability of the Orcust, and then uses and abuses the OTK potential and abilities and loop abilities, not to mention, of the Lunalights. He then used dangers as additional extensions, especially to get you into Nyala and then into Azathoth to make sure you don't get Nibiru'd. So, without further ado, I'm going to take you through the profile, show you exactly what he's got, and we'll try and explain why he uses certain cards. If there are any questions, put them down in the comments below, and either myself or Matt will be more than happy to answer them for you. If you do have any deck profiles or replays that you would like to send us, please send them to our Facebook page, and we'll be more than happy to review and then upload and talk through them. So, let's get started on this one. We start off with, of course, the Danger lineup. So we've got 2 Danger Nessie, quite straightforward on that one, and double Danger Snake, alongside double Jackalope and the single Mothman. Now, the Mothman is just an additional name that everyone draw one, discard one can actually be quite good for some people as well, and can be quite helpful in a Lunalight deck because you can start sending a Martin to the graveyard if you need it to, or you can send any of your Orcust cards, which is why it is being used above stuff like Bigfoot and then Chupacabra. Now, I know Matt is testing the idea of Chupacabra in the deck just to kind of see how it uses and abuses and if it operates any better or gives them any additional extensions. Moving on to the Lunalight engine, quite straightforward on this one. Kaleido Chick. Now, the best thing about this card is it does technically have 3 effects. It is able to send a card as cost. So that's what really catches quite a few people off, is because it sends as cost, it doesn't really matter, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to be sending the Martin to the grave, and you've already got your Tiger plays off to go. Not to mention, it does then take the name of the card that is sent to the graveyard, so you can send from your extra deck as well, meaning that you can either send it and make it Panther Dancer, or you put a Panther Dancer in the graveyard for your Wolf to then banish and summon with. On top of that, if you banish Kaleido Chick, which you are going to be doing with your Wolf, your opponent cannot activate card effects during the battle phase. That stops pretty much any floaters and any recurrence that your opponent might need in the battle phase. And 9 times out of 10, that is pretty much going to get you game. Moving on to the most busted Lunalight card ever, and that is Lunalight Tiger. Now, the reason Lunalight Tiger is so busted is it is not a hard once per turn. It has a destruction effect, it has a revival effect, it has everything you could possibly need. So, in the scale, you can type 1 Lunalight monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but it cannot attack, doesn't matter. Its effects are negated, doesn't matter. Also, it is destroyed during the end phase, again, doesn't matter. It's not hard once per turn, so you can just constantly keep bouncing this with Zephyros and Martin and loop it multiple times. Its monster effect is, if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, type 1 Lunalight monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So if you were to MST this card, as we have found out in the past, scales actually get both effects. So if they were to, for example, play this card and you go, okay, MST or Ghost Ogre, they then get to revive something from the graveyard anyway. It just stops the reoccurrence ability. But 9 times out of 10, because they've got 10 keys, they've also got Foolish Burial Goods with perfumes, they can actually search out Tiger very consistently, which is what makes this deck slightly busted. Moving on, you got the Martin, playing Martin at 2. So if it's in the hand or graveyard, you target a Lunalight card you control, accept itself, and return it to the hand, and then special summon this card. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you add a Lunalight spell or trap. Now, it's very rare that you actually do that effect. However, the recurrence of this card is incredibly powerful, because not only can you get it to the graveyard by using Chick, you then use Tiger to revive it. Straight away you've got a rank 4 on board. That is your Nyala, that is your Azathoth. You then go even further on that stage, because you then use Martin's effect to bounce Tiger and then play Martin. Now, obviously Martin would get banished if it leaves, but you can use it as an overlay unit and it goes straight back to the graveyard. You can then play your Tiger again, meaning you can actually use Chick's effect again, because it's not a hard once per turn. And it kind of gives you continued loop ability. Moving on for the one-offs, they do play, or Matt does play, the one Lunalight Black Sheep. Now this card can be discarded to activate one of the following effects. You get to add a Lunalight monster from your graveyard to your hand. So the idea is you send Wolf off of your chick, then you use Lunalight Black Sheep to discard it and add back the Wolf, play Wolf in the Scout. Wolf then banishes your Kaleido chick, and Kaleido chick by this point has already sent the Panther Dancer and one other Lunalight monster, which then gives you your Leo Dancer, and your opponent can't activate card effects during the battle phase. Causes opponents a hell of a lot of issues. Moving on, you play the one Lunalight Emerald Bird. So if it's normal or special summon, you can send one Lunalight card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, draw one card. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you target one of your level 4 or lower Lunalight monsters that is banished or in your graveyard and special summon it in defense vision. Its effects are negated and you can only use the effect once per turn. Now the only time that this card really comes up to be used and abused is purely for the ability that if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, 9 times out of 10 it will be sent because you've used Tiger, and Tiger then destroys it during the end phase, gives you that additional summon, and it lets you continue to do stuff in the end phase anyway. Wolf, we've briefly touched on this. Its monster effect, never ever going to use this, is if a Lunalight monster you control attacks defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Mainly you're going to be using it for its Pendulum Scale effect, and that is you cannot Pendulum Summon monsters except Lunalight monsters. This effect cannot be negated. Once per turn, you can Fusion Summon one Lunalight Fusion monster from your deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field or graveyard. That is where Chick is flooding the graveyard for you. So, if the extension of Dangers wasn't enough, not to mention the absolute power plays that Lunalights have, he also has a cheeky little Orcust engine in there. Double Nightmare, of course, people are playing 2 of this, just because if you open up 1, the combo becomes dead, but it also has that additional discard fodder. Not to mention, it can give a nice little boost of attack if it's required. They've got the one Harp Horror, the one Simple Skeleton, and they're all quite straightforward and self-explanatory on that one. The one Armageddon Knight, the one Dark Grepher, and the one Zephyros the Elite. Now Zephyros actually gives you an additional bounce back of Tiger, so you can technically revolve Tiger 3 times a turn, which is stupid considering it's a consistent monster reborn. For the low cost of 400 life points. Oh no, that's only going to be bad if you do it during time. Grepher, of course, can discard any of the level 5 dangers, can discard the Nessie, and that will then get you an additional effect for the additional summon. It can also discard the Nightmare should you open it, and then it gets to send another dart to the graveyard. Armageddon Knight, of course, sends any dart to the graveyard, which can include Chick, I believe. Chick is a dart? Yeah, Chick. Can include Chick. Martin is probably more logical. Tiger's a light, so you ain't got to worry about that, but then it can send any of your Nightmares, so that's where that comes in. Jewel Faller's Pair of Goods, this is to send Perfume, because Perfume is an additional search for your Tiger. Not to mention you could also send your Lunalight Serenade Dance. This one is when a fusion monster is fusion summoned to your field, except during a damage step, you can target one of those monsters and apply the following effects in sequence. Or, if this card, so during your main phase, you can banish this card from the graveyard, send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, special on 1 Lunalight monster from your deck. So again, additional search, additional summon. Very lot of synergy. Lunalight Perfume's first effect is basically a monster reborn. Again, is not a hard once per turn, which is stupid. Triple Call by the Grave, because you want to make sure you don't get Ashed, Ogred, Veiled on your Orcust combo. Triple Tenki, quite straightforward on that one. You're going to be searching your Tiger. If you've already got your Tiger, you're going to search out your Chick. There's a lot of consistency on that one. If you've already got your Chick, you're going to be searching out your Sheep. So, keeps on going. Forge Barrel, send any of your Darks, Martin, anything you want in the graveyard, you can just loop and off you go. Rhoda, again, quite straightforward. You can search out your Grepher, you can search out your Armageddon Knight. So you've got a lot of consistency in that. You've technically got 3 of those cards. You then got your Orchestrated Babble. This one you set off of your Galatea, and that gives you, or makes sure that your cards are quick effects. So in his main deck, because he's got Crescendo in the side, he's obviously going for Babble to then make everything quick play effects, and that's where you're going to be using Symbol Skeleton to bring back your Dingrisu, or one of your other cards to trigger Bomber, and then Dingrisu for protection. And then we've already touched on the Serenade Dance. Moving on to the extra deck, we've got the one Lunalight Dancer. This is your game winner. So it requires Panther Dancer and 2 Lunalight monsters. Very easy now that we have Chick. And then it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And then this card can make a second attack during each battle phase. And once per turn, at the end of the damage step, if this card attacked a monster, you destroy all special monsters your opponent controls. So not only is it a 3,500 Tower, if you then use Chick, stuff can't be activated during the battle phase, and then it gets to nuke the board, and it's attacking for 35 twice. And this is not going to be the only card you're going to have on your board. Busted. Panther Dancer, I don't think I've ever seen him summon this because it requires Cat Dancer as well. It is literally there to be sent off of your Kaleido Chick to give you the fodder for your Leo Dancer. Dingrisu, of course, going straight on top of your Galatea or Longrisu to give you either that send or the reattachment from the Banish Zone. 9 times out of 10 you're going to be reattaching the Skeleton to then put Skeleton back into the graveyard. Your Azathot, which comes off of your Noala to stop you being Azathotted. Tiger King, you can make Tiger King, as you saw in the Thunder Dragon video, you make Tiger King and then you turn off your opponent's entire board and then continue to combo off from there. Not to mention he sets you the Tenki, which can then set you the Tiger, which then of course loops around and keeps you going. Abyss Dweller, if you don't know what your opponent's playing, 9 times out of 10 it's very, very safe to make your Abyss Dweller because you can end on a rank 4 with your topological Bomber Dragon and a Dingrisu. So being able to end on an Abyss Dweller is going to cause your opponent a heck of a lot of issues. Because then if they're playing Thunder Dragons, if they're playing Orcust, you can pretty much shut off their graveyard, and Salads as well. So it's a very, very good rank 4 to be playing. The Raid Raptor Force Tricks, this of course searches out your Zephyros and can help extend your plays and move your plays further forward. Noala is your stepping stone to Azathot. Bomber Dragon is the new annoyance in this deck, in a sense you make this and then during your opponent's turn you can, I believe, twice, because you can Harp Horror to bring out the Skeleton if you put it back into the deck. That will then trigger Bomber, and if you've got the Dingrisu on board, Dingrisu can protect it, or you can let it nuke the board and put Dingrisu and the Skeleton into the graveyard, which then means you can banish the Skeleton to bring back the Dingrisu to send your opponent's Link monster and then nuke their whole board if you want it to, or you bring back your Longrisu, and your Longrisu, because it is linked, can't be destroyed by card effects. You're sitting there with a 25 and a 3k beta on board as the plane goes over by, if you can hear that. Now sitting on board, which, you know, that's a 5500 attack next turn, not to mention if you've already got Skeleton in grave or the way to put it back into the grave, you can recycle that. Or if you've got any of your Lunalight cards in play, you can just extend from there and you're pretty much going to get game after that. Curious is an additional stepping stone, but on top of that it does get to send you your not your perfume, sorry. Well, it does let you send anything, so you can pretty much, it's a foolish bearer of anything. It can send any of your nightmares, it can send you the trap, it can send you the spell, it can send you any extension you may need, and then it combos off very nicely with Griffin in his side deck. Phoenix, discard, pop the back row. Galatea, of course, sets you your Babble and then gives you your stepping stone to get into Longrisu or Dingrisu. Underclock Taker gives you a guaranteed OTK, so you make this, you target any one of your monsters, make one of your opponent's monsters 0, so like a Colossus for example, make it as low as you possibly can. I think 9 out of 10 I've seen Matt, he targets his Lunalight, Leo Dancer, makes his opponent's monster lose 3500, then attacks it, does 3500 damage. If it's a Colossus, it protects itself if it wants to. If it doesn't, then it gets destroyed and it's still swinging in for 35, so that's 7k on board, and then your Underclock Cape takes in for a k. And then of course the Mermaid for the Orcust combo. Moving on to the side deck, interestingly he's playing Droll and Lockbirds with no Ashes or Ogres. I don't know if that's because he doesn't have access to them and he wants to kind of test as logical as he possibly would physically. But Droll is still a very, very good card to be playing in this meta because less people are actually expecting it to come across it. There's very few decks that I think right now are massively affected by Droll. I don't think Pendulums are that hurt by it. I don't think that Orcus are really, neither are Salads to be honest, because if they're a good Salad player, they activate Circle during the standby, which means it can't be Drolled. And it kind of moves the play from there. So maybe Droll is not the best option right now, but it's certainly a good option that could catch people out. Not many people, but you know, it depends on which way you're playing it. Griffin is there, of course, to negate your opponent's monster effects, send Imperial Order from your deck to the grave if he's playing against something like Sky Strikers, and then he can set the Imperial Order. So you send it with Curious, then you then set it with the Griffin, and then you're shutting down your opponent's board the next turn. Firefighting Dromedol. This is purely here because it requires 2 Beast Warrior or Wing Beast monsters, so it's a nice generic link to that points left and right for this deck. And then it gains 100 attack for each Beast and Beast Warrior or Wing Beast monster on the field. Doesn't worry too much about that. Once per turn, you type 1 spell on each field and destroy them. So he pops his own scale of Tiger, Tiger then gets the additional summon to help his board extend, and then it gets to pop one of your opponent's back rows as well. Then moving on, we've got triple twin twisters, quite straightforward on that one. Any back row hate, Subterra control or Guru control, Sky Strikers and Dracos. Imperial Order, like I said, can be very, very good against your Sky Strikers, and because you can send it off of Curious and set it off of Griffin, can be very, very useful. A searchable Imperial Order, basically. The one Crescendo, side this in. It's interesting that he's siding this in and not maining it, considering his main deck is a 41 card, and it's only a 13 card side deck as well, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what the last two would be. I suppose like a Prankatops could be the last two in his side deck as well. But the Crescendo, you know, just massive out to pretty much anything your opponent wants to play, and you're banishing it as well. And then red reboot against anything like Autogeist, Subterras, or even against the Mirror. If they try to Crescendo you, you can red reboot them, and then because you've got the Lunalight engine, you're going to be going for game, and that's pretty much going to win it for you. So that is it for his whole encompassing Orcust deck. I know there's little tweaks that he's trying to make an update on, but you can just see from the replays how powerful this deck can be, and can actually be used and abused in a massive sense as well. So, I hope you like this type of video. I will next time try to remember to put the deck profile at the end of the duels. It depends on how much depth we want to talk over the deck profile with it, and I'll kind of figure it out that way. If you do like the duel videos and you do like this type of video, please give us a big thumbs up to show you that you like this type of video, and comment down below as well. That way we can be bringing you more of these videos on top of that. If there are any particular type of videos that you would like to see, or like I said, if you have any YUGIOH Pro deck profiles, or if you have any YUGIOH replays that you would like to be showcased, please send them across to us on our Facebook page, and I'll be more than happy to review them and then go over them for you as well. So, for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. What's up, YouTube? Dad here from YUGIOH. Thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, please hit that big thumbs up button in the bottom corner as well. And don't forget to hit the big red subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Make sure you click that notification bell as well so you know every time one of our new videos goes up. Throughout the whole year of 2019, we're going to have more deck profiles, duels, and of course pack openings for you guys to watch and enjoy the entire year round. So stay tuned for more, and as always guys, happy dueling.